David Zublick's Awake Nation welcomes you to the Trauma Triage Team. Trauma Triage, mending hearts and offering solutions. Our Trauma Triage leader is the multifaceted Heather Day. Heather is an associate producer for the Awake Nation. She is the author of AI 2030. She is also a recording artist, a songwriter, and an actress. Her segment on Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist, is The Day Shift. You can find her at heatherdaymusic.com. And now, to introduce the members of the Trauma Triage Team. Heather Day, author AI 2030. You can find Heather at heatherdaymusic.com. And Shauna Richardson, generational cycle breaker. And Harry Fisher, paramedic, author, God-fearing Christian fighting for medical freedom. Meet Marissa McGinnis, hashtag #MeTooFamilyCourt movement. And Amy E. Souza, MA Depth Psychology, women's rights activist, educator, and facilitator. Meet Michelle Peterson, Andrew's Law, michellepeterson.org. Jennifer Marie, creative director, bossesofhospitality.com. Meet C.J. Connor, reverend and author. Meet Tom Althouse, the real author of The Matrix. And Holly Fayon, life coach and MK Ultra deprogrammer. Meet Brad Conley, lawyer, court watcher, exposing family court in Hollywood. And Joe Renee, former domestic violence counselor. Weave, woman escaping a violent environment. And CASA, court-appointed special advocates. Meet Lori Fabre, retired RN, investigative journalist, and light worker. Meet Michael Francis, retired U.S. Air Force, music ministry, father of Micah Miller, seeking justice for Micah. And Amanda Joan Quimper, Joan of Heart, documentarian, former addict, fighting the opioid epidemic. She helps women who are being sex trafficked. And now, David Zublick's Awake Nation welcomes you to the Trauma Triage Team, mending hearts and offering solutions.
We're for resources, advocacy, and support. So we got a couple of folks here today that haven't been here before. We've got Tiffany Fontenot. Is that how I say your name, Tiffany?
And
yes. Unmute. It's Fontenot. The T at the end is silent. It's French.
Oh, beautiful. French, Fontenot. With that being said, Tiffany, I'm going to start with you and let you tell a little bit about your story. I know a little bit about it, and I know that we've covered some of this, so feel free to speak freely.
So let's see. I live in the Fort Worth area of Texas, and I was an elementary classroom teacher with 15 years in. And I had to take disability retirement because over a 3-month period, my the condition that I had just kind of crashed into the mountain, and my joint tissue started just disappearing by magic, and none of the doctors could tell me why. So I had to fill out all the paperwork and take disability retirement when I was 42 years old in around 2010. And the osteopath that I saw who was doing my disability retirement paperwork, he said, the cartilage in your hip he says, it has holes in it. And I said, I thought you said I didn't have any cartilage in my hip. And he said, well, you don't, but you have a little tiny bit left. And the part that's left has all these little holes in it. He says, and I've never seen that before. That's really weird. And I was like, well, okay, I mean, I don't know what to tell you because I didn't know that it was happening. I was actually being targeted for non-consensual experimentation from the government public-private partnership. And my dad was a database specialist for eSystems Garland division, which was bought by Raytheon, which is an MIC corporation. So it may have come from them targeting their own employees and their employees' families. So they are making bukus of money on directed energy weapons, testing them for medical and weaponization and communication. So, and they are pretty much, we believe that everybody is tethered to the cloud now on the whole planet. So they are about to, they're about to just snap a few more things in place, and everybody will be enslaved. And these smart cities are coming in. So, so I was disabled by these weapons at the age of 42, and that's what all those holes were about in my cartilage. I just didn't know it then. So I started, and that was before I even knew that this all existed. So in 2011, in August of 2011, I started hearing 24/7 high-pitched tones, so tinnitus, combined with weird aerial phenomenon, like UFO type stuff. And then so I just became more and more disabled, and I moved in with my grandma and was a caretaker for her until she died just March of 2012, March of last year, 2024. So, and I, have been trying to help raise my cousin's kids, help her be of support. So I've just kind of did that for the last 12 years, and I started my own corporation in the meantime, because I became overtly targeted in late May of 2015, and it was bad. It was really bad. I nearly didn't live through it, and so I became even more disabled, and I started having balance issues because it just deteriorates your body, your brain, your nervous system. So I guess that's sort of where we are today. And but one of the things that I did was I got into reverse speech and got certified, and that really helped me to balance in the face of this. It also helped me to balance and deprogram. Like, I have reverse speech that indicates that they were having difficulty programming me.
So, yeah, because you're practicing just like the doctors practice.
Oh yeah, they broke into my cousins and my cell phone conversation, and they were anchoring subliminal MK Ultra programming in there, and I was like,
Have you
did you see that?
Desi Beltran introduced her on our show on the Awake Nation, which Trauma Triage team is umbrellaed under.
Yeah,
and she's going to be my next guest after this show on Agent X11.
Oh, is that today? Amy's on today?
No, Tiffany is.
I am on the next show doing reverse speech stuff.
Right. Good day, and welcome to another episode of Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. Another light in this darkened world. I'm your host, Penny L.A. Shepherd, Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Zublik, Heather Day, Brad Connolly, Chris Montgomery, and Tom Althouse.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. I'm joined today by my co-hosts Heather Day and Tom Althouse. Heather, how are you?
I'm good. That was a great episode of Trauma Triage.
I know, right?
Glad Tom's here with us now, and I'm doing okay. I was just texting you like, am I jacked today or is today weird? But I'm all right.
Right. My hair is disappearing because my lights aren't off behind me because I just went from Awake Nation site to to Agent X11. Tiffany.
Her hairstyle and pull it off.
Right. There we go. There we go. Okay.
There you go.
It looks like I still have hair. Tom, how are you?
Animated, loving you guys. Feels amazing.
Yes, Tom always makes me laugh. We had another show that we had to exit stage left. Snagglepuss was something I created, actually. But Tom used to come on and just make me laugh so hard. And he did it just because he knew, she had a hard day. I'm going to make her laugh. So I just love you eternally. Tiffany, tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Oh, my goodness. So I was an elementary school teacher. And I was an elementary school teacher for 15 years. And then something happened, and I didn't know why, but I started to become disabled. My joint tissue started eroding. And now I know that this was remote technology, non-consensual experimentation that was being done on me. And this is a very important point because there are going to be a ton of disabled people who don't know how they got that way, because this technology was hitting me when I didn't even know that it was hitting me. It is what caused the disability. So
do you know what the tech is?
This appears to be sound tech, and you can hear it coming from a long ways away. It's a loud hum that approaches from above. It's likely to be connected to drones and satellites. I mean, they have an entire infrastructure that they have built behind our backs with our own tax money to get ready for the Internet of Everything. And it goes, I'll just say it right now because it's in my presentation for my reverse speech. It goes from the Internet of Space Things all the way down to the Internet of Bio-Nano Things that is at the molecular level. And we have had nano.gov for 20 years now. And no one will report on it, truthfully. They hardly say anything about it at all. And the populace doesn't know to ask questions about it, because they don't even know that it exists. So we're talking about Obama. His brain initiative was over $5 billion that he plunked down. What it appears to be is FBI seems to be maintaining the shit list.
Yes.
So they maintain the shit list, and then DOD rolls out the third-party contracting for it. It seems to be here.
Tiffany, I met this girl who came to see me. She was a whistleblower, and it's funny, but it's not. She had gone to the FBI. You can actually do this to register as a targeted individual. So I was like, no, don't do that. Okay, that would be bad. She goes to register, and this was in Austin. She drove down to see me in Bastrop, and she had her entire car like soaped with FBI following me, and like a big. And so I said, they are following you, right? Because you don't actually need to soap your car. But she was trying to make it a point of a disclosure point so that other people knew. But that, they will utilize that against you. Tom knows exactly what I'm talking about. It happened to me to say that you're crazy and get you locked in a crazy house and drugged. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right up their alley. But yeah, you have to be careful about how you do that. I'm constantly tagging Donald Trump and the Department of Defense and Ken Paxton on my Facebook page with documentation, about what's happening. So I'm documenting this in public. And I recommend that it be, because the public needs to know that it's happening. But you walk a fine line because you have to make sure that people, so every time I document, I put documentation with it that is, the links that people can go and research it. So here's what's happening, and here's a match for a link that you can go and research about it. So it's not just something that's being made up. It's got documentation with it. For instance, nano.gov, when people say, oh, nanotechnology doesn't exist.
Yes, it does.
For 20 years.
Literally nano.gov says it does. Yeah.
Right. So now I have so much to cover. Are we ready to get started?
We are.
Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Let me ask you this also. How did you get into reverse speech? Because many people say, oh, that's satanic, etc. Because it scares the bejeebies out of people. So, because they've used it for actually in the music industry, backmasking has been around for quite some time. And they've used it to in movies, etc., in music to actually transmit satanic messages. So explain to us what it actually is and how you got into it.
So there are natural reversals, and then there is forward speech that record companies will put in like Easter eggs to sell records. Is basically what it is. So it's actually forward speech. They just put it in backward, and like an
right.
Easter egg.
Okay, got it.
So they want to sell more records, and they'll put that in there. But so let me
like Paul is dead, right?
Huh? Yeah. That kind of stuff. But yes. you do have natural reversals that also exist in music. So but reverse speech is a little bit muddled. You can tell because forward speech sounds like forward speech, and reverse speech is some of them are clearer than others, but it'll be a little bit muddled because it's coming through a different side of your consciousness. So let's take a look at this. So what is reverse speech? So God made our brain in two hemispheres, and he made our consciousness in two different directions. So the forward direction is the free will direction where we can lie or tell the truth. But the reverse direction is our involuntary system of consciousness, and we are not able to lie from that side of our consciousness.
Okay.
So our reverse speech comes from the side of our consciousness that includes dreams and body language. We are wired up for truth. And it is a consciousness field that we all share, which is why you can come up with true information about any topic that you like simply by choosing to talk about it. Because your reverse speech comments truthfully on whatever it is that you choose to talk about in your forward speech, whether or not you know that information on a conscious level.
So if you're talking normally, like you and I are talking, and you're lying, will it come out as a lie reverse or the truth reverse? And conversely, if you're telling the truth forward, will it reveal that you're telling the truth, or will it reveal a lie?
You always want to look at the reverse and compare it to the forward. So if it is congruent with what's being talked about in the forward speech, that it's indicated to be true. And if it is incongruent, then there's something wrong. So it's going to be untrue in some way.
Okay. So
now, and reverse speech, this right here is why I say that if you're tired of all the media propaganda, you cut out the middleman and go straight to your own consciousness, your own truth-speaking consciousness field, because that is the best way and the best place to get your news, because it cuts straight through all the Bravo Sierra.
Okay.
So what you do is you look at your reverse speech, and then you look at all of their stuff and see what aligns and what doesn't.
Can you take us to your website?
Yes, that's
what you're saying. Back in my day too, when I was in high school, there was a big talk about that, the backtracking and stuff on the albums, and nobody really believed it. So I took ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, And I took it and spun it backwards. I went to the section where it sounded like this. So I sped it backwards and it said, "We are here, Satan." There was a power in that was unbelievable, where I felt like everything went slow-mo. It was like when you played that backwards, it was like, "We are here, Satan." It was like so clear. And then it's like you just do it with your finger back on the turntable back then. And then there was the one about Dust in the Wind, and it says, "It is fun to smoke marijuana." When you put it backwards, when you look for that, like you said, Tiff, you hear the sound of like, it's like this overtrack where you hear these things that sound like it's backwards. And when you play it, you actually hear these things clearly. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so this is my website, and this is the one I did especially for this show. I was up till almost, it was 1:30 in the morning when I finally got done. So this one is the AI hijacking of Earth. What you'll see first is right here, our video channels, social media, blog, goods, and services. They can all be found right here in our all-in-one link. And so our blog, if you go to blog.ourstillsmallvoice.com and then click on this one, you can follow along with us on a different device if you want to. Some people like to do that. So the AI hijacking of Earth reverse speech analysis is what we're going to cover today. So, and this is how we read the transcript. So F means what was said in forward, R means what was said in reverse, and then you'll see brackets will be placed around the exact location where I found the reversal. And then it will be followed by my interpretation and what it likely means. Okay, so I put Penny's and David's and Jesse's interview that we did last in here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so people can, because these are related reversals in this interview right here. So they'll supplement what's in here too. All right, so the first two reversals that we're going to look at are going to be on, there is a group on the planet that are trying to seize Earth for themselves and make everybody else slaves. So they want to have overlords and then enslave the rest of us. That's basically what's going on here. So let's take a look. Do you all remember the Australian trucker convoy?
Yes.
There were convoys, and there was one in Canada, one in Australia. I think they did one in DC. But before that DC one, I was screaming on the internet, I'm like, it's a trap. These people are entrapment specialists. They're literally like J6ers. That was a entrapment operation.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So,
Did you actually get a reverse speech on that said that?
Oh, yeah. These are clips that I have on here. Most of them are like clips in this, but you can go and watch the whole thing. So you can go back and watch this whole thing, but this one is a clip, and it's focused on reverse speech, indicating that there is a group that's trying to take Earth for themselves. So let's take a look at this one. Yep. Let's take a look at this one.
Like an alien group?
No, they're human. Well, they're transhuman. These are people that are taking on, and it looks like this isn't our first rodeo. Like Atlantis was said to have fallen due to tech. I haven't done that project yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it were true, because this seems like a cycle that we're going in. This AI influences humans to rebuild it, and we go through a whole other cycle, and then we get up to a certain point, and we just keep going for the gusto on that AI.
My friend Ginny, she used to work for the Department of Energy, and sorry, she's texting me right now. And she says that she thinks that AI is an ancient alien, and she's very smart.
That's what's in my science fiction novel, AI 2030. That is exactly. It's actually disembodied, like, entities that we would call demons, but it was actually an ancient alien race that became parasitic, and a council of life force had to basically banish them. And then they found out they were going to be banished. And so they uploaded their consciousness into a digital realm, which is basically this quantum dust that we would now call graphene oxide. And they were just waiting to be reincarnated and to possess the sorcerers, which are the scientists and technologists of today, who are going to create clones in order to re-embody them so that they can continue their parasitic overlord nature. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, but like AI seems to be at the top of the pyramid, but
AI,
you have eugenic, satanic human families, and it's not just satanic. These are factions that work together all over the planet on an agenda-driven basis.
And in my book, they're descendants.
They have transhumanism in common, and they worship that AI, at the top.
The AI is like, they worship it because it's almost like their collective consciousness, but the elites are like essentially the descendants that are the hybridized kind of descendants of
this. We just did an interview. We just did an interview, Tiffany, with Zach Vorjes, who the Google whistleblower. We just did that on Saturday, and we talked about AI. And I'm going to tell our audience, if you haven't seen that, please watch it. It is posted on Agent X11 and also on Awake Nation on the David Zubik channel. But it literally, I said at the end of it, I said, this has been very enlightening and horrifying. It scared the bejeebies out of me.
I want to bring something up because there are a lot of people who have told me they're tech savvy and they work in tech and everything. And they're like, oh, I work with AI. I don't believe any of that. And I'm like, hey, this AI we're talking about has been hidden. I said, now what if you had no oversight at all and you were putting biology and meshing it with technology, and this has been going on for generations? Then what would you end up with where AI is concerned? Because that's where your head needs to go on this. It's not regular. It's not regular old public sector AI.
People don't know what AI is. It's really two things. It's quantum processing, which requires all this processing power of these basically graphene oxide type transistors, or like the M1 carbon chip of Apple. But then it's the data set. And whatever you put in is what's going to come out. And so think about what could possibly go in and how it could evolve, or how it could have already evolved, like what Jenny Silcox says, or like what's in my book, or even Elon Musk himself. We were just talking about him in Trauma Triage, that it's like, if we can create a simulation, how do we know we're not in a simulation? And AI is his ex-baby mama's god, like Grimes. She literally sings about it. Worship the AI like a god, because I think they know that it could contain some sort of uploaded consciousness of an ancient life. I'm sorry if I'm derailing. I'm a little triggered today.
Aren't we all?
Well, this guy that I'm about to show you, he's got red flags. So I wouldn't be surprised if he were part of like a Masonic group or something else. But this is what's indicated. In my opinion, based on the reverse speech. So let's take a look at him. He's saying, get planet that we had unlodged, now we route it.
G'day everyone, John Larder here with an update. Now, planet that we had unlodged, now we route it. Now, planet that we had unlodged, now we route it. Now, planet that we had unlodged, now we route it.
So an update is being given connected to the trucker blockade. So the group who has dislodged the planet now intends to disperse, defeat, and push an opposing force into complete disorder. So it's a full-on attack is what his reverse speech is telling you. Okay, and then let's move on to the next one. And this is interesting because this is the judge that presided over General Flynn's case.
Interesting.
Emmett Gale Sullivan. So his reverse speech and former federal prosecutor Michael Zeldin's reverse speech, it also brings up those who are trying to take Earth. Okay, so the reversal is very, very long. So this is a challenge level reversal. So if you can hear this, then you might actually be good at pulling out reversals. So he says, spirit skin was ill via hibashogi. So hibashogi is how it's said. And then Yale with neural leak climbs in. Neural leak in nude serve us once Earth. Serve us once Earth. Are you Bush? See the scam in all your words, and they leave skit at they have a show force map. Okay, so that's a big old long reversal. So let me play it, and then we'll go over the meaning.
Tiff, did you say see you Bush or something? What was that one?
Are you Bush? Are you Bush? See the scam. Are you Bush? See the scam.
Yeah.
Bush was involved in the whole thing with the Neuralink thing to make sure
she's really good, Tom. She's got some awesome stuff.
No one makes that connection. No one makes that connection.
And that's an example that it's not always Democrats. There's Bush and Cheney are nasty, nasty individuals.
Well,
It's both
Absolutely.
sides.
So Tiff, I just want to add that Bush is the one that appointed the judge to throw the Neuralink case so Elon could have Neuralink.
Oh, nice.
Mind blowing.
See, I didn't even know that. Yeah, there are going to be total links to this stuff that I don't even know about. So I just tell you in general. But when
like I say, there are no mistakes because I invited Tom. Tom's not usually on Mondays. He's usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I invited him.
I figured this content, Tom, would be perfect.
I'm blown. I'm blown
All right,
away.
now, Tom,
I'm glad I can be here. Yeah.
you guys see if you can follow along with it. I'll
Okay.
do can you see my little pointer here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be the bouncing ball. Okay, here we go.
I'm so fortunate to have had that experience early on in my judicial career.
There's no silver spoon in his mouth. He learned the way people should behave by his own experience. It's going to say, he should be, literally, I'm saying, no service, one, sir. It's going to say, he should be, literally, I'm saying, no service, one, sir.
Okay, now let's look at what it means. So Judge Sullivan's reverse speech is likely connected to experiences early on in Judge Sullivan's judicial career connected to privilege and learning how people should behave through experiences. So the reverse speech there is likely saying that his spirit was weak in some way, connected to what appears to be an Israeli compromise operation. So then this seems to be Yale that's connected to a neural leak that allows access through a vulnerability connected to serving those who want Earth. Yale is bones to include the Bush crime family that will somehow exit the drama, street theater, crisis acting when they have mapped out a show of force in some way. So, and then this I haven't figured out yet, but because of the pronunciation of Khashoggi, it sounds quite a bit like Khashoggi. So I wonder if there's a connection there to Jamal Khashoggi. And then, so let's move on and keep going. This is Jamal Khashoggi. And then the next two reversals that we're going to do, this has to do with those who want Earth, deploying the beast system that uses satanic spies. Okay. So do y'all remember when all these celebs were doing weird things on their Twitter accounts during COVID lockdown?
Yes.
Okay. So remember Madonna in her bathtub?
I do. And she was also singing. I have a connection to Madonna, unfortunately.
Right,
she was singing with a hairbrush. She was singing about the fish.
I've got that one too. I'll have to do that one on another show. But this one, she has those rose petals in there, and we know what that's a symbol of to these people. It's a symbol of pedophilia, these rose petals. She's talking about her. Shall we play it? It's only like a minute long. Okay.
That's the thing about COVID-19. It doesn't care about how rich you are, how famous you are, how funny you are, how smart you are, where you live, how old you are, what amazing stories you can tell. It's the great equalizer. And what's terrible about it is what's great about it. What's terrible about it is it's made us all equal in many ways. And what's wonderful about it is that it's made us all equal in many ways. I used to say at the end of human nature every night, we're all in the same boat. And if the ship goes down, we're all going down together.
So she says, connected to we're all going down together, from her bathtub. And her reverse speech there is the beast might nuke Wuhan. Well, I didn't know what Wuhan. It sounded Chinese, so I looked it up, and there is a Wuhan in China. All right, now let's take a listen.
Like I used to say at the end of human nature every night, we're all in the same boat. If the ship goes down, We're all going down together. And I just might know tomorrow. And I just might know tomorrow. And I just might know tomorrow.
And the beast did nuke Wuhan. There was a factory explosion.
I'm counting this as a total hit for reverse speech. Exanto City, Central China's Hubei province, is less than an hour away from Wuhan in Hubei. On March 28, 2020, I posted a Madonna reversal I found saying the beast might nuke Wuhan.
Here's another one. This is my reverse speech. And it says, beast with spy. One assaults me now. I was being terribly, terribly tortured when I was speaking and recording this.
I need to also know how to keep my energy. One assaults me now. One assaults me now.
Okay, so the beast system with spy likely indicates satanic spies or intelligence community type people who are also satanic who were assaulting me. And this is going to be connected to my energy and what they were doing.
What makes me crazy, Tiffany, is that, there is a specific type of technology and specific type of wireless technology and coding and all of it that exists that you can find that they just don't think people just don't think it's real. And I want you to know the name Sabrina Wallace. Do you know the name Sabrina Wallace?
Sabrina's a friend of mine.
She is. Can you please get me in touch with her? Oh my gosh. I love her. She is a genius. She is an absolute genius. I can already tell. Please continue. Yes.
She's so precious.
Yeah.
She will only do interviews with one person at this time because her trust has really been shaken in people.
But all of her trust has been shaken.
I'd like to get her a copy of my book because I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she would love a copy of your book.
She knows. I didn't know about her when I wrote it. I didn't understand.
Speaking of Sabrina, look here.
Okay, good. Please carry on. People have got to know who she is and what she's exposing because she is literally taking the literal technology and explaining it, and people do not understand. Our bodies are being turned into devices.
Yes.
It is exactly what the book of Revelation describes as the beast system. Please carry on.
So I did 3 different videos, full-length videos, that focused around her reverse speech and showed other reverse speech with the technology and all of that kind of stuff that y'all might. So this is just a clip, but you can always watch the whole thing if you like. So this is part 3, has to do with satanic spies still. So this is Satanic Army Officer Michael Aquino telling the truth about Satanism on the Geraldo Rivera show. So
oh God, I know that thing.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Dr. Aquino, is it the force of evil? Does it disrupt? Is it a force for everything negative?
Well, if you're talking about Satanism as legitimate Satanists define it, absolutely not. It is ethical, it is above ground, it is positive.
Okay, now, his reverse speech is going to be commenting on that forward statement. Okay, so his own reverse speech is coming back and telling him the truth about Satanism being truthful, ethical, and positive. The interpretation of that reversal, it is opposite, mired opposite, org is acidic, is connected to Satanism being ethical, above ground, and positive. It is the opposite of those things.
Right.
and the damage that it does cannot be overstated. The organization of Satanism is acidic, and in reverse speech, acidic is associated with destructive emotions, unresolved bitterness, and resentment, and it is to cause collapse or decay of relationships and or events. And this metaphor has also been found in people with severe life-threatening diseases when acidic is brought up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then this one, I'm not going to play this one, but this is former DOD biotech head Alexander Titus, and he's likely a satanic military spook also. He followed and blocked me to try to silence me when I was saying on Twitter, and this is in 2019, I was talking about the Internet of Everything, and I kept saying, we do not hook humans with or without a wire to a giant internet, and that's when he followed and blocked me. And he just came out of nowhere. He really unzipped his fly because I didn't know him from anybody. But once he did that, I knew, he's a synthetic biologist and he works for the usual suspects.
And you believe they've already done this to most people, right?
I think everybody is tethered to the cloud.
Yeah,
They're doing this via cloud computing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the beast system appears to be the Internet of Everything control grid, biodigital enslavement system. So a giant 3D global internet we talked about before goes from the Internet of Space things all the way down to the molecular scale, all hooked to the Internet. So this is a former spook of the deep state department, John Kerry's reverse speech from Antarctica when we were in the middle of our 2016 U.S. elections. And he's telling about this weapons system grid being used against creation that's likely describing the Internet of Everything. So he says, we translated that day into, well, what did they translate something into? Whistling, yet our grid will smash you. They have created a grid to smash whistleblowers, okay, to punish them. And this is likely the Internet of Everything because they built it behind our back with their own tax money. So let's take a listen at this.
We translated that day into action.
Okay. So, and then let's continue. And here's Sabrina again. So this is going to be still in part 3. It's a long, feature-length video, but this is just a clip. So this is Trump. Trump is trying to tell us in his reverse speech. Now, Trump, we've got a problem with Trump because he appears to be captured. They've threatened his life. He's showing up in reverse speech as his brother was murdered to keep him in line. And it's showing up that Ivanka is brainwashed, connected to her husband, who is Chabad Lubavitch. He appears to be cyber torturing her. So yeah, Houston, we have a problem here. And I keep screaming that, and they brought Elon right next to him. And I'm like, he's not your friend. His reverse speech is awful. We can do a whole show on him. But for right now,
I just want to add too that what you're just saying to back you up. Well, I wanted to back you up that Jay Sekulow from Pat Robertson was positioned as Trump's personal attorney, so he was supposed to handle Trump. So Robertson can rule through proxy through Trump. So that's why Jay Sekulow was positioned there. Now Elon's positioned there. Trump break free of these guys, and I hope he does.
Yeah, I'm praying. So, okay. So Trump's, this is his Happy Halloween reverse speech. It is connected to an evil technology celebration to entrap biology using advertising campaigns. Those are your snake oil salesmen. And then here is Ian F. Achildes, and Sabrina Wallace talks about him, and this explains how Panacea architecture on the Internet of Bio-Nano things it has security issues, and it can let through a biohack assault. And the way they describe it, I have a matching story for that. I have a zombie nurse story that matches the information in the first part of the video. And so the whole video is about 7 minutes. So I'm not going to play it here, but you guys are welcome to go back and look at that later. And then here's Trump. Here he is. Remember, he was telling us that what we're fighting, and we thought it was COVID, but that's not what he's saying in his reverse speech. He's saying that we are fighting an AI, and we're fighting an AI that has a predator sitting within it, who is connected to people who believe that we deserve to be slaves, hijacked, mindless slaves. So you deserve a master who's missing, right? He's trying to tell us in his reverse speech. So it says it's get ALF. So ALF is artificial life form. That's the metaphor for the AI. Okay, and wolf, how you use wolf is important because sometimes it means predator and sometimes it's the protection for your psyche. In this case, it's a predator. So get ALF, like get it, grab it, and kill it dead, because there's a predator sitting in it. And it believes that you deserve a master who's missing. You deserve to be hijacked and taken over. You see? All right, let's take a look.
In a sense, a wartime president. I mean, that's what we're fighting. Ja, verwoestende met listener, master witnessing. Ja, verwoestende met listener, master witnessing. Ja, verwoestende met listener, master witnessing.
Okay, so we are fighting a predatory AI that hijacks humans. Now we're going to go a step further, and we're going to cover people who are, these next reversals contain indicators in their reverse speech for MK Ultra and or hijacking. So it could be and or. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is Corey Good. Now, Corey Good has self-deception. He's got people around him lying to him, claiming to be sources, and they're all in this cult, you know, a lot of them. But he was telling the truth about his childhood. When he said that he had a naval contractor come and get him out of school, that's showing as true. So he appears to have been MK'd as a child, and with trauma-based mind control, and non-consensually tested for microwave experimentation. So this is him when he's doing a deposition in court. So he tells us that it's true and that he was abused when he was a child, and then the opposing attorney recognizes what he's talking about in his reverse speech. He's like, oh yeah, that's the microwave technology that they were testing on you. So it's very interesting. All right, let's take a listen.
I was brought into my lab programs when I was in elementary school, brought to Carswell Air Force Base, where we went through all sorts of experiments and training. Arrows rocked out. Arrows rocked out. Arrows rocked out.
Do you know who they were working for?
The Navy.
Okay. With who, honey? With who, honey? With who, honey?
So the taking of Corey out of elementary school by a contractor indicates to be a code likely for microwave experimentation from which flowed money and or other rewards for the contractor. And like I said, he's surrounded by liars. So he's actually for the Internet of Bodies as a child. So they're doing this to children. All right, then we have Celine Dion. So, and this also, when he says code microwave flu honey, it can be flu, FLEW, or FLU, because they were, the flu got them lots of money too. It can be
right. Flu honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what's wild about that too, Tiff, is that there's actually a Star Trek thing that talks about this. And I think you might find this amazing, Heather, too, because of your book and your insights. In it, they had a COVID thing, a flu thing in Star Trek, where it smelled so sweet, you'd breathe it in. And they described it like smelling like honey. So it smelled so sweet, you'd breathe it in, and that's how you got the virus.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Mind virus on Star Trek.
That's interesting. COVID does have a smell. It's not sweet, but I have a friend who she could smell COVID. Like she could smell something about it, but it wasn't sweet. So
right. Well, this is Celine Dion, and she appears to have been raised. It says, reverse speech says she was raised in the Hivers trap, or the Hivite entrapment. So, but this one indicates there's something wrong here, and she does look, it looks to be hijacked. So, the reversal is whore made deal. Arson, he'll give you a luminary of scum, no eat its feast. You have a lease in your room unit. Wolf miss you. And then we'll talk about what it means here in just a minute.
Very simple. And we went to a very cheap studio in Montreal, and we did record the song for a demo.
Okay, so connected to recording and a cheap studio and how she started out is going to be this reversal. Okay, so what does that mean? Here, Celine alludes to the Whore of Babylon, which is very big in this cult. So the Whore of Babylon, which it's the AI whore, appears to be hubbed in Israel. So on the internet of everything. So those not just so the Whore of Babylon who forced a worldview on people she conquered, those not destroyed were subverted, and God's people were attacked through governmental persecution and through seduction and idolatry. So this has been described as an AI hubbed in Israel in other reverse speech. So Celine Dion appears to have made a deal connected to the whore and receiving Illuminati sabotage if the scum doesn't receive his sacrificial feast. This is being described as a global sacrificial feast. So this is connected to leasing a room in Celine Dion's mind in some way. So a room in reverse speech is a room in your mind. So, and there's some sort of weird leasing that keeps coming up connected to that, where the protection for her psyche is missing. And now, how do they do that? The torture appears to be causing that. And they appear to be torturing people in order to get that condition, to get, to remove the protection for the psyche.
This sounds like black magic or Solomonic magic, where they cohort with entities and lease out.
Well, I think there's going to actually be a physical, there's going to be something physical that happens.
Sound.
Yeah.
The sound, Tiff, like you described, that high-pitched sound I got last night, the very high-pitched sound that sounds like the Indian cricket that was the UN embassy, where it sounds like really, really high, and it throws you off. My ears started discharging liquid. And it felt like I was going to have an aneurysm right at that point. That's where that thing was.
And there are physical ritual things that happen to induce the spiritual magic with a K that they're doing with these. These are contracts with entities that they're doing. So lease, you said lease, I heard contract, lease.
Also,
lease, yeah. Right. Yeah, they
That's
definitely are big on contracting.
Tiff, is that Chet Hanks, Tom's son?
Tom Hanks' son. Yes, ma'am.
Unbelievable. He's the main player in our situation, but also that sacrificial feast, the red pill, ingesting the blood of the children, the sacrificial feast, the red pill. Everybody says the red pill. They took it and they reversed it. And now everybody's absorbing it as
And the blood sacrifice is, in my definition that I put in my book when I was researching and putting this into fiction, that's what makes it like what we would call black magic is the blood ritual, right? So the red pill, Tom's original red pill was adrenochrome.
The combination of what we have.
That's a physical ritual of extracting blood, or what, and on a spiritual level, they call it loosh, because you're jacking up the fear, and that's an energy harvest related.
You're going to see loosh in a reversal coming up.
Yeah.
So now Chet Hanks, he says connected to, and I hope it's okay to. Is it okay?
Yes,
for
it is. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay, so our conscience doesn't censor. so connected to his forward speech in some way is, and Siri is an AI assistant. Okay, so Siri's the internet hurry war, ease men in, lick the alf, force your ours now. We serve you murders. You're our felonious fish. This is totally talking about hijacking. So see if you can follow along here. There's a lot of hyphenation going on in reverse.
Check this out. You motherfuckers are going to believe what you want because you're already so fucking committed to your weird internet conspiracies. Caesar's internet area worries that us, yours, how we should be able to yes. Caesar's internet area worries that us, yours, how we should be able to yes. Caesar's internet area worries that us, yours, how we should be able to yes.
Okay, so Dark AI is using a strategy of easing AI in with reeling men in like fish to connect with it, to corrupt and reprogram them in a hostile takeover that serves murder. So this is similar to David Wilcock's reversal, which we're going to cover next, that says it's causing corrupt mental chaos and using a Corvus sub or a naval tool to board a vessel and take over by putting its own men aboard. So
this is fascinating. Tiff, before you go on too, I want to add real quick. I just had a service yesterday where they talked about what it meant about fishers of men. And what you just showed me was fishers of men in the wrong way, in a dark way. It's huge where they take the Bible and reverse it.
Oh, yeah. So there's a dark navy. Now, do you all remember Jordan, what's his last name? Jordan
Maxwell?
Yes. Okay. He talks about the ocean and sailing and birth and all of that. This is reverse speech. See, those are metaphorical terms, and the state of them and what's happening to them in the metaphors determines what's happening and going on. So they can be used positively or negatively. So the metaphor is a ship on the ocean, your vessel. So if it talks about a boat or a vessel in some way, that's your ship. And then your the helm is how you steer it. And so the conditions are what has to be paid attention to as to whether it has a positive or negative meaning.
That's what goes back to Madonna in the bathtub. When she said about we're all going down, I thought of a ship
down
sinking.
with the ship. Yep. But she's saying that in her forward, which is interesting. So, okay. So this one, they're on Gaia. Cosmic Disclosure was a long time ago. This was an episode called The Ascension of Earth, season 8, episode 7. So he says, we're getting to the long-awaited update, and then it's commenting on this about several key issues that are happening right now. So what's happening with several key issues? He says, I heard a zoo shipped his Corvus sub.
We're getting into a long-awaited update about several key issues that are happening right now. I heard a zoo ship Corvus sub. I heard a zoo ship Corvus sub. I heard a zoo ship Corvus sub.
Okay, so what does that mean? I didn't even know what a Corvus I didn't know what a Corvus was. So I had to go and look that up. So paraphrase from Wikipedia, the Corvus was a Roman military boarding device used in naval warfare, used in naval boarding. Naval boarding means to come up against or alongside an enemy ship in order to attack it by placing your own men aboard it. And the goal of boarding is to capture or destroy the enemy vessel. We're talking about bodies here. This is what's happening inside of our bodies and in the rest of the world, because they are trying to take over. So in reverse speech, also, a zoo is a large organizational or personal operating system that is in chaos. And when shit is used in reverse speech, that's really bad.
Can I just add something too? In history with the Romans, what you're talking about is how the Romans finally defeated the Carthaginians, because the Carthaginians had the superior fleets. The Romans had to improvise and came up with Corvus in order to defeat them. And the Carthaginians didn't know how to do that because it had a big spiked end on the long plank. The spike would come down, crashing onto the Carthaginian ship, locking into it with its teeth. And that's how they would cross the planks and invade. You couldn't get away from it. It was a trap you could not evade. It makes me think of the narrow link and the spikes, the filaments of spikes that go into your back of your neck. Or say it'll be
Unfortunately, you guys, we're out of time. And Heather has to depart.
Okay.
But I want you to come back.
Can I just say, Stephen Jackson's, this was the last one we were going to cover, and his is the worst I've ever heard. But so you guys do go and check the rest of that stuff out that's on our blog.
Yes. And what is your blog?
Awesome to meet you. Wow.
What is your blog?
It is blog.ourstillsmallvoice.com.
And I'm going to exchange information with you and Heather and Tom, if you'd like to talk to her as well. I'll give her your phone number and etc. I want to thank you for coming, and I hope that you do come back again. I know you're really busy. I know you can't commit to anything on a regular basis, but I'd like to try and arrange something.
Okay. And I want to point out also to Heather, there's Loosh.
Yeah.
It comes up.
It's people don't believe what they can't see, but it's so real, and there is plenty of documentation out there. And your friend Sabrina Wallace, who I heavily admire, so if you want to give her my information, feel free. Or Penny, you can give it to Tip. She can give it. She knows what she's talking about, and she's got it down to the scientific, the technology, and just all of it. So I encourage everybody to check her out and your blog, Tip, because you are like right on it.
And say your blog again.
It is blog.ourstillsmallvoice.com.
And then also you can find Tom Althouse at tomalthouse.com, Heather Day at heatherdaymusic.com, and you can find me on the Awake Nation every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Please join us live. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so you'll get how this goes, Tiff. We are out of here. Shepherd out.
Right.
Day out.
Tip out.
Really? Go ahead, Tom. Tom.
House out.
Goodbye for today from Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily. Please watch our main show, David Zubik's Awake Nation, on the David Zubik channel on Rumble, live 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.